Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Major General Gregory Mosier, Deputy Commanding General, United States Army Reserve Command, welcome to the awards presentation. For Major General John Phillips, Commanding General, 335th Signal Command Theater. At this time, we would like to extend a sincere, lightning welcome to all of our distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, the colors and the official party are pre-positioned for this event. We would also like to extend a sincere welcome to Major General Phillips' wife, Mrs. Sherry Phillips, and their sons, Stone and Ryan Phillips, who are in virtual attendance. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we will now have remarks by Major General Gregory Mosier, Deputy Commanding General, United States Army Reserve Command.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. Great turnout for what's really a significant presentation. At this level of award, the Distinguished Service Medal, it doesn't come very often. Most of the awards that we do are assigned at General Daniel's level or the Force Com Commander. Now you're getting into levels of awards that go all the way up to the Secretary of the Army and HRC. So it's no insignificant event, but it's appropriate. Because given what General Phillips has done, commanding this organization, the only organization of its kind in the Army Reserve, a theater-level signal command, for the time period that he did, we're talking years, that is something of extreme significance. And so it's appropriate that we recognize it with this level of award. I wanted to make those remarks because for all of you looking at this, this is not just your average award presentation. I want to give you some kind of context on how significant that is. And you all know the great job that he's done. I'll talk more about that in my remarks during the change of command. But where he's going to continue in the signal world. We're all excited and thrilled in the Army Reserve and really across the Army because where he's going is going to make impact DOD-wide, Department of the Army-wide. So it's my honor to be here to present this and for all of you to be able to participate in this. Let's continue with publishing order.
Attention to orders. To all who shall see these present, greetings. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress July 9, 1918, has awarded the Distinguished Service Medal to Major General John H. Phillips, 335th Signal Command Theater, for exceptionally meritorious service to the government in a duty of great responsibility from 9 February 2020 to 20 August 2022 as the Commanding General for the 335th Signal Command. Major General Phillips was an inspiration and mentor to his subordinate leaders and the driving force behind the tremendous success achieved within the command. His exceptional leadership, focused efforts, and dedication to duty will have an undeniable, lasting, and positive impact on the soldiers, civilians, and families of the 335th Signal Command and the signal and cyber communities. The significant achievements and devotion to duty of Major General John Phillips reflect great credit upon him, the 335th Signal Command, and the United States Army. Signed, Christine Warmoth, Secretary of the Army. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Major General Phillips. Sir, Major General Phillips would now be presented with a congressional letter. The letter reads, U.S. Senate, Washington, D.C. 20510, August 12, 2022. Dear General Phillips, it is with great honor that I thank you for your leadership of the 335th Signal Command Theater. I am incredibly grateful for your dedication to the higher calling of defending America's freedom. You and your family have made tremendous sacrifices to preserve the safety and liberty of the people of the United States. Your military service is a testament to the exceptional courage and devotion to duty that has made America successful for more than 246 years. America is blessed with service members and veterans who have bravely answered the call to defend our freedom and liberty whenever they have been threatened. I am honored and humbled to recognize your accomplishments, and I thank you for your valiant service on behalf of our nation. May God bless you and your family, and may He continue to bless the United States of America. Sincerely, signed, Tom Tillis, U.S. Senator. Ladies and gentlemen, Major General John Phillips.
Hey, thanks. An award doesn't mean much, but commanding this command for 2.5 years has been remarkable. Is award enough? So I'm going to tell a quick story so I stop getting emotional, because I have to stop before I give my speech. And there is a code word in there. If I blurt something out, I'm skipping over a few lines just so I can get through it. But I'm going to tell a small story about my dad. I talk about my dad in my speech, and only 2 people in this auditorium have ever met my dad as I'm scanning around. My wife, barely, because my dad passed away shortly after we got married. Actually, before we got married. So she met him while we were dating. But Mr. David Mace, a semi-bald guy right here on the left-hand side. What most people don't know about Mr. Mace, he's a civilian in the 335, and I arrived years ago as the deputy, and I heard this name, David Mace, and I'm like, no, it can't be. You know, there's several David Maces out there, but the last name Mace is a little on the unusual side. And then I saw him, and didn't ring a bell at all, because David Mace, who was about 6 years older than me, 5 years older than me, lived down the street when I was 12 years old. He taught my brother how to play drums, and David, now this was 1978, David had hair out to here. You would not recognize him today, but David clearly knows the person my dad was. So when I am now between my junior and senior year at the Citadel, and I'm home one summer, and he asked me, so what branch do you think you're going to choose? And I said, sir, Signal Corps. And he's like, this is a PG presentation. I won't tell you exactly what he said, but he was like, oh, no. You do not want to do that branch. He was a former infantry officer, then became ordnance, and ended up being what we would call acquisition today. And so he asked, what branches could you choose? And I told him, you had to choose 2 combat arms, 2 combat support, 2 combat service support. And I think that's all he heard. And about 4 weeks later, he comes to me, and he would only come at the final moment, so I couldn't get out of it, because he learned I was pretty good at avoiding his plans if I had enough time. So we would wait till I had no time to execute. So at about 9:30 at night on a Thursday, he told me to break out my summer leave uniform that I had with me home from the Citadel, iron it, because at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to Carlisle Barracks because his classmate at the West Point was now the commandant. And he had set up a whole agenda with me with 6 different officers, because all he remembered is that I could choose 6 branches, not that I wanted to go Signal Corps. And so he had a whole day long with me, where I had an hour with each different branch that he thought I should choose. And not by mistake, he could not have probably picked the worst signal officer I've probably ever come across in my life. The meeting was actually in the Doom's office at Carlisle Barracks, and the switchboard was behind him at the time with all the cables going in and out. And he told me what he did on a daily basis. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that on a daily basis. And so when I finally told him I was going to choose Signal Corps, he was, again, very upset. But now, after 32 years, commanding the best signal command in the United States Army inventory, and then heading off to be the Deputy G6 of the Army, my dad was wrong. And I rarely get to say that, but my dad was wrong because the opportunity that you all have blessed and allowed me to lead you, this award is just a small recognition, but a huge accomplishment for what you all accomplished under my privileged watch. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's award presentation.
Major General Joe Robinson, Commanding General, 3rd Medical Deployment Support Command. Major General Christopher Eubank, Commanding General, Network Enterprise Technology Command. Major General Johanna Clybourne, Deputy Commanding General, Cyber Center of Excellence. Major General Neil Hershey, Deputy Commanding General, United States Army Cyber Command. Major General Wynn Brock, retired. Brigadier General Jane Norris, Headquarters, Department of the Army, Chief Information Security Officer. Brigadier General Joseph Packenfuss, Deputy Chief of Staff, G6, United States Army, Europe. Brigadier General Michael Doherty, Deputy Commanding General Cyber, Signal, 335th Signal Command Theater. Brigadier General Royce Risoso, Deputy Commanding General Cyber, 335th Signal Command Theater. Brigadier General Kevin Meisler, Commanding General, 311th Signal Command Theater. Brigadier General Paul G. Kraft, Deputy Commanding General, Joint Forces Headquarters, Cyber, United States Army Cyber Command. Brigadier General retired Janice Hagler. Brigadier General Robert Powell, Commanding General, 335th Signal Command Theater, Provisional. Mr. Ronald Pontius, Deputy to the Commanding General, United States Army Cyber Command. Mr. David Hagler, Command Executive Officer, 335th Signal Command Theater. Chief 1 Officer 5, David Carrier, Command Chief 1 Officer, 335th Signal Command Theater. Chief 1 Officer 5, Lawrence McCuacani, Command Chief 1 Officer, 335th Signal Command Theater. We wish to extend a special welcome to Major General Phillips' family, his wife, Ms. Sherry Phillips, attending virtually their sons, Stone and Ryan Phillips. We also wish to extend a warm, light, and welcome to Major General Boyd's family, who is attending virtually. Her husband, Mr. Jim Boyd, and their daughter, Sophia Boyd. Lastly, we'd like to welcome Command Chief Warrant Officers, Command Sergeant Majors, senior enlisted leaders, community leaders, and friends, all of whom have taken this time to join and attend this ceremony today. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party, rendering of honor, and remain standing for the posting of colors, the national anthem, followed by the invocation delivered by Chaplain Robert Lewis, 335th Signal Command Theater Chaplain. For this ceremony, Major General Mosier has deferred honors to Major General Phillips.
Post the colors.
Forward, march. Ready, stand. Present, all.
Command Chaplain, Colonel Robert Lewis.
Please bow your heads and join me for a moment of silence in honor of the 12 that are listed on the program and no longer with us, followed by the invocation. Almighty God, we invoke your blessings on this ceremony. Those who are participants and those who are gathered here to witness the passing of the colors. Thank you for General Phillips, his leadership, and his example of competence, commitment, and character. Go with him into the next chapter and continually open the doors to his success in the future. We thank you for General Boyd. Give her wisdom as she leads the 335th Signal Command Theater. Undergird her with strength and surround her with excellent staff to enhance her leadership. Be with both the Phillips and Boyd families, knowing that it's the family support that enables every leader to stay focused on the tasks at hand. Bless this ceremony with your presence. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, Sergeant Deshaun Parker will present Major General Phillips with a cannon shell in honor of his distinguished service to the 335th Signal Command Theater. With over 4,500 soldiers and civilians spread across the continental United States and serving in operational missions abroad in at least 5 different time zones, the colors before you represents the brigades that make up the 335th Signal Command Theater. Headquarters and Headquarters Company, 335th Signal Command Theater, located in East Point, Georgia, commanded by Major Curtis Jones Jr. and First Sergeant Orion Barnes. 359th Theater Tactical Signal Brigade, located at Fort Gordon, Georgia, commanded by Colonel Tracy Munteith and Command Sergeant Major Sheldon Gray. 505th Theater Tactical Signal Brigade, located in Las Vegas, Nevada, commanded by Colonel Eric Rahman and Command Sergeant Major James Milligan. Army Reserve Cyber Protection Brigade, located at Adelphi, Maryland, commanded by Colonel Brian Winitsky and Command Sergeant Major Rulo. Joint Enabling Capabilities Command, Army Reserve Element, located at Naval Station Norfolk, Virginia, commanded by Colonel Stephen Robertson and Sergeant Major Michael Papple. At this time, Sergeant Crystal Baylor will present Ms. Sherry Phillips with a bouquet of red roses on behalf of the 335th Signal Command Theater. Red is the color of heart and reflects the devotion, dedication, and tireless support she has shown our soldiers, civilians, and their families. Her roses are in full bloom, symbolizing the beauty and fulfillment of her time with the command. Change of command ceremonies are steeped in tradition and rich in military history. These ceremonies are a formal, symbolic passing of responsibility, authority, and accountability of command from one leader to another. The very soul of a military unit is symbolized in the colors under which it fights, for they record the glories of the past, stand guardian over its present destiny, and ensure inspiration for its future. commander ensures that the unit and its soldiers are never without official leadership, a continuation of trust, and also signifies an allegiance of soldiers to their unit's commander. The traditions of a change of command ceremony include great symbolism. They begin with preliminary honors and end with symbolic passings of the colors. Passing of the colors from one commander to another represent the passing of trust and well-being of its unit from one commander to another, but it also perpetuates the seamless traditions of vigilance, service, and integrity. The custodian of the colors is the command sergeant major, as the senior enlisted soldier in the unit and principal advisor to the commander. The ceremony begins as the Command Sergeant Major Price, presents the colors symbolizing the duty and responsibility of command to the outgoing Commanding General, Major General Phillips. Major General Phillips passes the colors to Major General Mosher, signifying that he has fulfilled the responsibility of his command. Major General Mosher accepts the colors. Major General Mosher passes the colors to the incoming commander, thus demonstrating his confidence in Major General Boyd's ability to take responsibility of command. By authority of paragraph 2-5, AR 600-20, the undersigned assumes command of the 335th Signal Command Theater, East Point, Georgia, effective 20 August 2022. Signed, Major General Tina Boyd, United States Army Reserve, commanding. Major General Boyd will now pass the colors to Command Sergeant Major Price as her first duty to the command, signifying her trust and confidence in the NCO Corps of the 335th Signal Command Theater. Ladies and gentlemen, Major General Gregory Mosher.
Good morning, General Morrison, Mr. Pontius, fellow general officers, fellow soldiers, family, friends, and supporters of the Army Reserve. Thank you very much for attending this time-honored change of command ceremony. On behalf of Lieutenant General Daniels and all the fantastic soldiers, civilians, and professionals in the Army Reserve, we extend our thanks to General Phillips for his distinguished service and welcome General Tina Boyd as she begins command of the 335th Signal. Of course, we're going to miss General Phillips. He's an awesome commander, an experienced officer. But as we change leadership roles, I know our 335th soldiers, civilians, and families are going to be in great hands with General Boyd. I looked at some of John's outstanding accomplishments over the past few years, and I can only say I'm not surprised to see so many people here today. I first saw John's skills when we were both at ESCs at the same time. He was the rear deck commander at the 451st ESC in Wichita, Kansas, and I was at the 364th ESC in Marysville, Washington. And I'm still trying to get my hands around what it's like to command an ESC, and I've got a logistics background. So you could say I was supposed to be there, but I look around and here's this deputy commander, a signal guy, and I'm thinking, really? But then once you start briefing and you understand and you realize that John's not out of his element anywhere. And he shows that knowledge, that skill, that background, knowing what's going on, leading with distinction. So it's not surprising to me after seeing him perform in what you could argue is something out of his element. The way that he comes back and leads this signal command to new heights was something that was not totally unexpected. So when you fast forward to the present day, John and I continue to work together, and I can tell you what a pleasure it is and what good luck it was to have him as the 335th commander. He's one of the best generals we've got in the Army Reserve, and he wasn't that far down the road. So for all the Signal Corps operators out there, I want you to be patient while I do my best to give a brief description to our other guests, a little bit of what it's like to be in the Army Signal Corps. And no, I don't want you to raise your hand and correct me on this, okay? Now, some of you have seen those war movies where a soldier on a hill signals the main force, right, by waving flags. So this method of communication is known as wigwag. It's kind of like a third base coach signaling the runner on second to go for the steal, only using flags. So the wigwag system was invented by Albert Meyer, who became the first chief signal officer, and thus the Army Signal Corps was born. And while I'm sure it would be amusing to see General Phillips on top of a hill, wigwagging, maybe you can do that for us later, John. As the commander of the 335th, the equipment he's been responsible for is just a little more advanced than those flags. So for those of you who don't know, the 335th is responsible for the signal and cyber units and all that advanced equipment around your globe. No, this isn't your great-great-great-grandfather's Signal Corps. With the latest state-of-the-art communications and information systems gear, which requires the most experienced and technical experts to operate, the soldiers of the 335th have an incredibly challenging mission. They have to keep their training and expertise up to date for all the technology advancements that seem to come on a daily basis. They also have to keep this stuff running and ready to transport anytime, anywhere. So these amazing soldiers, their equipment and their transportation, along with anything else you can think of, is Major General Phillips' responsibility. With an eye for talent and how to utilize it, he leads the best networking, information technology, and cybersecurity citizen soldiers in the business. These men and women come from the largest tech firms, the most advanced information industries, and Fortune 500 private industry companies. From here in Georgia to Colorado and many states in between, more than 4,000 active and reserve soldiers and civilians plan, engineer, install, operate, maintain, secure, and defend our information networks. It was General Phillips who oversaw their training and prepared them for support roles in operations such as Spartan Shield, Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom, Inherent Resolve, Enduring Freedom in the Horn of Africa, and Freedom Sentinel. A true team player, John recalibrated signal support to our United Combatant Commanders, Unified Combatant Commanders, and our partners and allies around the world. This effort brought about a phased process for the 335th's transition to a full-time, globally available signal provider. Soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines can not only communicate more securely and effectively with each other, but also with their allied counterparts. As an experienced cyber warrior himself, General Phillips focused on spearheading efforts to reconfigure Army Reserve forces to better meet United States Cyber Command and Army cyber demands. As the Army Reserve's senior Signal Corps officer, and I can't wait to see him wigwagging on that hill later on, John maximized existing working relationships across the Army Reserve and the National Guard to build teamwork across components. So his foresight and efforts directly improved readiness within Compost 2 and 3 signal formations. Now, closer to home, John's close ties with civilian agencies, schools, and employers is one of the reasons there are so many technology and cyber experts in the 335th and its subordinate commands. keeping the lines of communication open with all civilian sectors capable of providing us experienced recruits. He is well known as a very active and involved partner in community relations and employer support. John's close federal, local and federal ties have contributed significantly toward recruiting and getting the word out that the Army Reserve is hiring. And as a standout mentor and leader, he's motivated many soldiers to remain in uniform and dedicate themselves to a life of service. Of course, we all know that none of John's great achievements in leading the 335th would have been possible without the love and support he receives from his wonderful family. And John's sons, like their father, are highly skilled in technology and systems engineering. So you've already heard about his son, Stone, an electrical engineer for Honeywell Aerospace in St. Petersburg, Florida. And Ryan is a systems engineer for Textron Systems in Hunt Valley, Maryland. So John and Sherry, we're sorry that your boys couldn't make it here today, but they're joining us virtually. And from all of us, we'd like you to offer them a profound thank you for their support of the 335th and the Army Reserve. And if you haven't already met her, please do make sure you say hello to Sherry, John's fantastic wife. They both grew up in South Carolina. Keeping with family tradition, Sherry is also a highly educated and specialized professional. She works as a physical therapist, an adjunct professor of anatomy. So John, I'm going to ask you later who the real brainiac in the family is, right? Sherry says you know a lot of sports and trivia. Might even be described as, for those of you that ever watched Cheers, the Cliff Clavin. Always got an interesting story. I happen to have experienced that myself in any kind of gathering that you're at. If you want an interesting story, just go talk to John Phillips. He's got something to tell you. A good Jeopardy contestant, I think you would be. You ever thought about that? Yeah, okay. So Sherry, you know, in addition to raising two amazing sons and a husband, you've also excelled in one of the most difficult assignments in the Army, which is soldier's spouse. So truly, from the entire Department of Defense and the Army Reserve, thank you so much for what you've devoted. Thank you for your support. It's made a great difference to all of us. Thank you so much. So John, we're certainly going to miss your experience, your outstanding leadership, and yes, your sports, movie, and history facts. The soldiers and DoD professionals you've inspired in the U.S. and around the world who wanted to but couldn't make it today are further proof of your abilities as a soldier, a mentor, and a friend. And I can say from my heart that the men and women at the Pentagon, where you'll be serving next, are in good hands. So let me shift gears and say a few things about the 335th's new commander, Major General Tina Boyd. Tina comes to us from U.S. Central Command, where she was the Director of Command, Control, Communication, and Computer Systems, and the Chief Information Officer. She expertly led a joint team of 713 active duty reserve and civilian members across 7 divisions. In addition to C4 systems, she is also a cyber warrior. While at CENTCOM, she provided reliable, resilient, and flexible theater communications networks in support of U.S. and coalition combat operations in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. In fact, she was also a player, like John, in most of those operations I mentioned earlier. Tina is bringing a lot of experience and expertise to the 335th, the kind that will immeasurably benefit the command and the Army Reserve. She's also bringing her husband of 14 years, Jim, and their daughter, Sophia, who will be starting the 7th grade. So Tina, welcome to the 335th family, and also to Jim and Sophia. So Tina, you're now in charge of these soldiers and civilians that make up this crucial team. So be advised that General Daniels and I intend to put all that CENTCOM and cyber experience to work, the hard work. It's a tough assignment, but that's why you've gotten it. I've been fortunate to officiate at other similar changes of command over the last couple of months, and I'm going to tell you the same thing that I tell the commanders at each of those. You're not going to get any lectures or tips or advice from me today on how to run things. But do know that General Daniels, me, and the entire Army Reserve will support you in any way we can. And I'm sure that John will be there for you too. Just be sure don't call him when he's watching Jeopardy. Okay, I've talked long enough. But before I return to my seat, I want to have a round of applause for John, Tina, and all the hardworking people who organized and made today's event a success. Thank you, and ready lightning.
Ladies and gentlemen, Major General John Phillips.
I put it in like 14 font so I can read it without my glasses. And for most of the people that normally hear me speak, I don't write speeches, but this one was too important not to forget certain things. So, Lieutenant General Morrison, Mr. Ron Pontius, other general officers, command chief warrant officers, and command sergeants major, friends, family, and soldiers of Radio Lightning Command. Thank you and good morning, and thank you for attending today's ceremony. My apologies, it's inside. It's beautiful outside right now, but for the last 2 days when we were doing rehearsals, it was not. But the good news is there's 140 people out there that are glad they're not standing at attention right now. More importantly, all that rain that's coming out of Barton Field is going to turn into a brutal humidity, and so it's probably a good thing we're indoors. And it's the first of my 6 commands that the weather has driven indoors, so I guess my track record is much better than Delta or American Airlines. The past 2.5 years have been a blessing. Growing up the 3rd son and 4th child to an infantry officer, I was the only one who followed his footsteps in the Army. He, however, never had the opportunity to witness my career. He passed a week after I reported to my first duty assignment at Fort Bragg. In fact, the last time I saw him was the night before I started Ranger School. A company commander in Vietnam and recipient of the Soldier's Medal for peacetime heroism, he instilled in me the notion that officers exist to command and should seek every opportunity to do so. Staff work is the penance you suffer in between. He has been, and always has been, an inspiration in my life. COVID arrived in just my 4th week of command and all but halted operations in the Army Reserve, where most units are comprised of soldiers living geographically dispersed with all different communities of various transmission levels. But it was the innovation and change executors of the Signal and Cyber Corps that allowed the Army to operate quickly once remote operations became normal. Maintenance couldn't be performed in motor pools, but the cyber protection teams conducted the first collective level training across the Army Reserve using newly deployed automation tools to conduct validation exercises, to assess readiness and functionality and achieve full operational capability of all 10 cyber protection teams, delivering capacity to Army Cyber Command a full 2 years ahead of schedule. Because that is what the soldiers of the 335th do, daily, without fail. Deliver. They install, operate, and defend the most lethal weapon system imaginable, the communications network. Without their expertise, commanders cannot command. The most sophisticated weapons do not reach their target. Unmanned aerial vehicles do not provide timely intelligence. Without radios, the best rifle squad becomes 9 individual riflemen. No offense to my combat arms brethren, who still use variants of weapon systems produced in the late 1970s, the Signal Regiment and its offspring, the Cyber Regiment, are called upon to be the most adaptive institutions in our force. We must be. The speed of technology and the actions of our adversaries demand it. In the 15 years since I took battalion command of one of the organizations represented here today, the 335th has modernized from TRITAC and mobile subscriber equipment to integrated theater signal battalions. Expeditionary signal battalions, or ESBs, followed, and now are scheduled for ESB enhancement modernization beginning in 18 months. This, while all 4 of our battalions deployed OCONUS 2 times each in support of our nation's demanding operational requirements. In fact, in the past 3 years, all 4 of my battalions have deployed. 1 is currently gone now. Because of now forecasted deployments, land predominantly on the reserve components, 16 of the last 17 operational deployments have been performed by the National Guard and Army Reserve, despite possessing just 65% of the force structure. Again, that is what the 335 is called to do. Suppress the Army's appetite for the talent and capability we possess. The 335 has been, per capita, the most deployed organization in the Army Reserve, averaging 11% of our soldiers away from family and their civilian employers every day. During a 2-month period in 2021, we had unit organizations deployed to every combatant command. Cyber protection teams mobilized here at Fort Gordon, combat camera detachments supporting operations in South America and Guantanamo Bay, tactical signal companies and battalions in Africa, Poland, Jordan, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and the Korean Peninsula, all simultaneously. Not to mention the integrated operations and critical role of our Army Reserve elements provide daily to DISA, Cybercom, First Information Operations Command, and the Joint Enabling Capabilities Command, where the roles and responsibilities of Army Reservists and their active counterparts in those multi-composition organizations are truly transparent. Yet despite this operational demand and time away from families, the soldiers represented here today possess the skills demanded by highly compensating civilian employers. But they love what they do, and they are the most committed to a mission that I've ever known. Recruitment and retention today are at record lows. Yet the 335th is one of 4, and actually the only non-medical command, of the 28 commands in the Army Reserve to maintain 100% strength. Strength achieved not through a central human resources command, but by commanders and first sergeants actively recruiting into their ranks, while simultaneously planning and executing demanding and relevant training that keeps their soldiers engaged and proficient. It is incumbent upon us not just to train within our silo, but assume the mantle of responsibility of the senior operational signal command to integrate, train, and maintain a level of operational readiness for all reserve component signal battalions. Following visits to 7 of 8 National Guard adjutant generals and the National Guard Bureau in Washington, D.C., the 335th now envisions itself as a 4 signal brigade and 12 signal battalion organization, with the responsibility to integrate, train, and provide maintenance assistance regardless of C2. But more importantly, provide higher signal command technical proficiency and mentorship that those battalions lack within their own state structure, while integrating them into a comprehensive network for collective training. We owe that to deliver parity to the total force. Our soldiers live and embrace the words of competence, commitment, and character. Those 3 attributes are so important to our profession of arms, and as we see in an adversary today on the battlefields of eastern Ukraine, not demonstrating the competence we thought they had. The lack of commitment from conscript-filled ranks compared to our all-volunteer force, and a complete lack of character from their leadership, which is devoid of a professional non-commissioned officer corps, the pride of our Army. And with this change and emerging threats, the 335 will be ready for future demands. Finally ending a 21-plus year presence in Southwest Asia to support Central Command in the war on terror. By the end of 2023, the entirety of the 335th Signal Command will be back at East Point, Georgia, to include its active duty MTO, reset, reconstituted, and trained to give the Army an option to deploy the best, albeit only, service-retained Expeditionary Signal Command wherever and whenever it is needed. A huge shout out to our peer organizations whose support by fire has been so effective. DAG6, Army Cyber, NetCom, ForceCom G6, CCOM, and the Cyber Center of Excellence. Relationships matter, and these have made all the difference. Much thanks to Lieutenant General Daniels, the Chief of the Army Reserve, and Major General Greg Moser for placing trust in Command Sergeant Major Price and myself, but more importantly for the autonomy to execute, and through our amazing subordinate organizations, deliver far beyond expectations. That team, fully depicted in the program, has been brilliant. In the interest of time, I will not mention them by name, but they include 4 Deputy Commanding Generals, 2 Command Sergeants Major, 2 Civilians Executive Officer, 2 Command Chief Warrant Officers, everybody got a new job but me, 4 Chiefs of Staff, and 10 Brigade Commanders. And from that last group of 14 Colonels, 4 now wear the stars of a Brigadier General. But the glue that has held it all together was just one, overworked, phenomenal SGS. These soldiers will continue to foster under the leadership of Major General Tina Boyd, no stranger to this command, with experience as a brigade commander, the Chief of Staff, and a Deputy Commanding General right here within this command. In fact, she was the acting Commanding General the day I took command. I have the utmost faith that she will lead these soldiers with the dignity and respect they deserve. Now finally, I offer my thanks to my wonderful family. They have unselfishly allowed me to pursue my other love, the Army. Like most dependents, they have had to endure long absences, missed birthdays, sporting events. Sherry, I've made utmost mistakes in my life, but the single biggest success is finding you. I first watched the movie Patton, movie reference, with my pop many years ago. There's a scene in which General Omar Bradley, played by Carl Malden, expresses his loathe for General Patton's leadership style by saying, "The difference between you and me, Georgie, is I do this job because I have been trained to do it. You do it because you love it." No offense to General Bradley, but to do this job right, you must love it. I certainly do. Lightning 6 out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Major General Tina Boyd, Commanding General, 335th Signal Command Theater.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Lieutenant General Morrison, Mr. Pontius, Major General Mossy, Major General Phillips, distinguished guests, and apparently the brain trust of the Signal Corps for the GOs are here. All the Chief Warrants, the Sergeant Majors, friends, families, and soldiers of 335th. It's good to be back. I'll be very brief here. It is an exceptional privilege to command the 335th, and I look forward to continuing to earn and maintain that privilege by giving this command the leadership it deserves. The members of this team genuinely represent what it means to be and to operate as citizen soldiers. General Phillips, congratulations to you on your successful command, and thank you for your remarkable service. Well done to you and Sherry. Thank you to all the team members who put this event together. It is no small task. It is a wonderful event. Thank you dearly. I have many people to thank from both my military and civilian professional careers who share in the responsibility of supporting me to this level. I've had a master class in military command as of recent, and I plan to go all in over these next 2 years, putting to use what I've learned at the strategic down to the tactical levels. There's something to be said when in the same day you are preparing a brief for the President of the United States and also answering the mail about the tactical systems that are supporting the soldiers in combat. There's much more to be said about the people who have been by your side all this time, the service members, the civilians, and the contractors of this digital enterprise that is our world. I'm committed to providing world-class 21st century communications to the force. This isn't just about providing the pipeline. It is about generating the planners from the JEC to the en route airborne communications from the 4th JCS. It's about creating cyber effects with US Cybercom while defending networks forward with our CPTs. It's about prepping the environment with targeted information operations while delivering resilient soldiers who will ensure we successfully achieve our strategic purpose to fight and win wars. Everything we do must be in support of these ends. What we do must be meaningful and must be value added. We are at a time when there is great strife within our borders, at our borders, and in locations around the globe that are of significant strategic interest to our country. We, as our nation's citizen soldiers, represent the compelling value proposition of the goodness that the military brings to our foreign policy and that it brings to our communities. We play a vital role in the socio-political strata, and we cannot just hold the line, we must strengthen the line. We must be experts in our craft, which means we must be on the leading edge. We must be the face of innovation. We must bring the new technology that is in a nascent state and bring it to the fight. This is what is required of us, and we must do this, or we will fail. I'm eager to get the next chapter of the 335th started. I will leave it better than when I found it, just as Major General Phillips has done. Thank you all for attending today. I look forward to working with all of you in the future. Tango Bravo Bravo has entered the net, and have a wonderful day.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the benediction and remain standing for the playing of the Army song, Retiring of the Color, and the departure of the official party. Ladies and gentlemen, Chaplain Lewis.
Please bow your heads for a word of prayer. Thank you once again, Lord, for your faithfulness. May we as soldiers and leaders continually strive to be an example of the Army values and constantly distinguish between right and wrong and serve others before ourselves. Bless everyone whose presence added to this occasion and go with all of us as we depart. This we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. Ready, stand. Right wheel, march. Forward, walk.